Alright, so today I'm going to do a little bit of a different video. I've had more than a couple of people ask me about this. It's going to be basically just a quick video user manual in the game, how to do some of the different commands in the game and what some of the different things on your screen mean. The reason that I'm doing this is because the game has an instruction manual, but it's not exactly in depth. There's a lot of little nuances that you don't pick up on, and they don't even mention most of the little things I'm going to cover. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to do this in two parts. First part is going to be inside a station, because as you can see, this air display's a little different here. So we'll go ahead and get that out of the way, and then I'm going to pause the video, step out, and get outside of the city, and then we'll do the remainder of it. So first things first, this center area. On the left hand side you can see the station. That's my current target. If I change targets, then it'd show something else there. Just to the right of that, there's that little globe with the blue orb moving around it. What that is an indicator to your current objective type target. So that'd be something like a station, or if you're going to some sort of waypoint while you're navigating. That blue dot, if you get it in the center and it's solid, that means you're heading towards it. If the dot is hollow, that means that you're heading away from it. So in the center here, we now have the three different options. I can go to services, I can go back to the surface. Whenever you dock fully, you go inside of whatever the station is that you're docking at, and then launch, which obviously takes you to the surface and launches you. So we'll cover that in a minute. On the right hand side, you can see it's a little picture of my ship. And as you can see, there's a little bounce to it. I think we got a little latency going on or something with the ship and the station. There's also the three rings indicating my shield status. If those three rings turn red, then you'll see that they're damaged and off. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and engage a secondary mode for just a second to turn those shields off. Feedback stealth. Feedback stealth.
Shields offline. Silent running off.
There we are. So now you can see that my shields are currently off. In a few moments here, you'll start seeing a little red circle action happening with just a little shape inside of it. There we are. Every time it hits and stops, it fills up a section. If you look though, SYS, just to the right of that, is draining. Every time it drops a dot here, it takes one away from there. Those are pre-saved energy units. When it hits the end, it's going to go really slow. There we go, see? So now it's filling at the speed that it's filling up the dots on the right-hand side. If I had put more energy into systems, it would have filled this up quicker. And as you can see, it does not recharge at full rate. I have the first level is gone. The second level is halfway gone. You can see it's kind of that weird blue-red color. As it gets stronger, you'll notice that turns to a lighter blue, and then the outside ring will start to fill further too. Below that, it's a key point. That 100%, that is my hull integrity. If that hits 0, you die. Now, on the left-hand side, you'll see there's kind of marking like you could have that. If I had a target that had a hull integrity I could measure, not a station, then you would see the same thing. When theirs hits 0, they die. There's usually a couple extra hits you got to get in, but it's usually right around 0, pretty exact. So that's enough of that section. Let's go ahead and I'm going to look to the right. I'm using the snap to commands because it makes it slightly larger, versus if I manually go over, it doesn't quite give it that zoom. So we're going to go ahead and give it the snap to. There we are. So a little more here. Your commander name, your balance, your rank, how many kills you have. This is my post beta 2 wipe kills, so I lost all my good kills. I was much higher number than that. On the right hand side you can see the different factions. As you can see, everything's neutral. I don't think they've put faction action in here yet. I hear that's coming in the next patch. Next tab over, modules. Down at the very bottom you see output. That is the output of my power plant. Below that is usage. I'm using 99%. So that's good. You always want to be slightly under whatever your power plant is. The further under you are, the better. In all honesty, it gives you more to work with. As you can see, the primaries up here at the top that use the most energy are thrusters and shield generator. The shield generator and thrusters, if you lose power to them, they literally turn off. So I turned it off. As you can see on the left, my shields are off. Turn it back on. Now they're going to start recharging. You also can see my usage dropping off 85% without the shields. You have your weapons. You see they have that secondary symbols. These two right here with just the regular targeting, that means that they are fixed. Versus this one here with the movement, it's got the almost an atom looking shape to it. That means that is actually one of the gimbaled ones. It has a slight fluctuation to where it aims. I try to keep one of those on. We'll get into that later. Cargo hatch, power distributor, things like that. You also notice on the far right you have the health. If these get damaged through fighting or anything else, you can see what their current health is at. Something can get damaged to the point it doesn't function, or it functions poorly. You also notice in here that we have these priorities just to the left of that. That priority tells you what order these get shut off if there's a problem. So like I just set this kill warrant scanner to level 3. If I'm low in energy, the first thing it's going to shut off is the kill warrant scanner. The next is number 2, life support, which while that may seem like it's a bad thing, I can't really show you here because inside of the station you have an atmosphere. When I go outside, I'll show you what happens when you turn that off. Oh, my shields are back up. Alright, so fire groups. So we have 2 different fire groups I've configured inside of number 1. When you're using different controllers, these basically are different fire buttons. Right now, with the controller system I'm using the 360 controller, that means that this number 2 is actually my secondary. It's my left trigger, versus number 1 is right trigger. And then you can go between these primary and secondary groups. We'll do more of that when we get outside. Cargo, obviously if you're just carrying cargo, this is where it would be at. Function is probably the least talked about and the most important area for you to look at. Inside of function, we have all these different things I can do. I can open up my landing gear, put it out, pull it back up. I can retract or put out a cargo scoop. The silent running that you heard me do earlier, there's actually a button in here you can go to and click if you want to manually do it. I prefer to do it with the voice command, it's quicker. Or a keyboard button, whichever you prefer. Ship lights. As you can see out front, it actually is lights. It's headlights. So there's lights on, lights off. I even set it a command. Feedback lights. It's not taking. Feedback lights. Unfortunately, I think my recording program is messing with the ability to do vocal commands again. There we are. So, moving on. Flight assist. This is basically the ability for you to get additional help with your lateral control while you're turning. Things like that. If you don't have this on, it is very difficult to fly. You basically end up coasting off in one direction while you can pivot in another, which could be useful for a fight if you're willing to try turret mode. More on that when we get outside, maybe. I'm probably not going to mess with that too much. Rotational correction. It attempts to help you with your rotation. The pre-flight check. It's kind of a make sure all your buttons are working sort of thing. Make sure you know where they're at. If you haven't played in a while and you want to redo that, just come over here and do it. Turret weapon modes. Report crime against me. This is a huge thing that I have not seen mentioned anywhere else. Reporting crimes against you means that, from what I've seen, if you're out fighting someone, your ship automatically basically calls 911 or 999 depending on where you're at. It calls the cops. Within a few minutes, the cops show up and attack whoever it is that you're fighting with, as long as they're in the wrong and you're not. If you're fighting a bounty or something, this could get very irritating very quickly. Once the cops show up, you lose the bounty. I have never got a bounty back once the cops have shot at them. So, this default is on. If you're bounty hunting and this is on, you will lose your bounty. It is a huge thing to make sure you turn this off if you're out bounty hunting. If you're obviously trading and you don't have weapons or you have weak weapons, you want this on. If maybe you can run away and hide from people for a bit, and maybe the cops will show up and help you, whatever, that's when you want it. If you're bounty hunting and this is on, you're going to lose money. You want it off. I bounty hunt a ton. That's my primary way of having fun in this game, is bounty hunting right now. Yeah, I could make more money trading, but I turn this off for that reason. Interface brightness. Surprise, it adjusts the brightness of your interface. I usually keep it moderately bright. Now you have different gun sight modes, scaling, self-destruct. If you're feeling like you want to blow up your ship, knock yourself out. You hit the button in there, it gives you a confirmation, and it'll blow your ship up. Obviously, I'm not demonstrating that. Just a little bit left over here. We have the current target, and then location, a little bit of information about it. Far left, navigation. You have two layers of this. You have everything in the immediate area. That's all these icons right here. And then down here were the solar system icons. These are different solar systems you can go to. And their distances. And how far they are for a jump. Here, let me refocus this real quick. There we are. Much better. A little bit larger. Now, from that, we also have the galaxy map and the system map. I don't usually mess with the system map too much. It does show you what's in the current system that you're looking at. It's more of a up-close view. Not really necessary, in my opinion, in a lot of ways. The galaxy map is highly useful. We'll get into that in here in a moment when I get outside of the ship. Well, actually, no, I'll come back to that. Transactions, these are different claims or whatever. As you can see, I have a bunch of bounties I need to claim. Like I said, I run around pop people usually. Not usually players. If you see me in the game, you can say hi or whatever. I try not to mess with players too much unless they're like doing something egregious, like I see a player attacking another player. They're obviously outclassing. Sometimes I'll jump in for that. A lot of times because the person, if someone's acting like a bully, they usually have a bounty on their head. Contacts. These are all the contacts within range. I can try to pivot and see some of these. I might be able to, I might not. Let's see. I've pre-marked it. I should have. Yeah, you can kind of see the city marker back there. Where that is, they're not in rangeable sight for me. Yeah. Oh well. What about this Sidewinder? See if they are. Nope. Oh well. But you can read a little information, like since I've scanned the station in order to get in here, you can see it shows me the type, the hull, the shield. If they're a faction, and the factions don't matter yet, but they will eventually. If they have a bounty, it will give you the dollar amount here. This is, again, if you're hunting bounties, this is a key thing. When you're bounty hunting, you want to know, hey, is that guy worth $3,000 or is he worth $50? Because if he's $50 and he's on the other side of on the solar system, there's no point in chasing after him. It's too far. Oh, there we are. There's an unknown. You can kind of see the marker as it floats off away. If they're not worth your hassle, hey, you know what? $50. I'm gonna ignore that guy. I'm gonna go somewhere else. Let's find somebody else that's worth shooting at. Sub-targets. I don't know what it'll do with the station. Oh no, I was still on the Sidewinder. Let's see if I can lock target. So lock target. There's no subsystems for a station. I'll have to try to, when we get out of the actual station, find somebody I can target just to show you. Cargo. If I had a cargo scanner, it'd tell me where it was that they were carrying. Obviously, a station. It's not going to tell me what the station's carrying. So that's the basics for that. Quick skip into the services. So we have station services, which is everything you see over here on the right. Your fuel, repairs. You have your news. News is key whenever you're trying to find out if there's fighting. Look, here's locations I could go to if I wanted to get into a conflict. Tell you about market commodities going up or down. Traffic report. The number of ships that go through. What kinds they are. Things like that. There's been some decent sized ships moving through here. A little bit of news about different things. Quality control, whatever. I'm not going to go through all that. Munitions. That's very straightforward. If you had ammo you need to purchase, you go here. Repairs. Again, straightforward. Wear and tear, I don't know if it affects you yet or not. It doesn't seem to charge you for it, but I do it anyway just to get out of the way. Bulletin board, your different missions. They show you the missions you can take and the missions you can't. So like this one, I bet it's too big a cargo. Yeah, it's 5. Cargo of 5. I only have a 4 because I've upgraded from the original 2 the ship had. Contacts. If you have your fines or your bounties, you pay them here. No criminal records, I don't have anything to pay. If I had any combat bonds, they'd be there. Outfitting. It'll take a second to load this. You just swap out your different weapons. Make sure you read the descriptions. As you can see, they don't have any weapons for sale. Do they have any? Oh, here we are. We have different scanners and whatnot in here. You can see the comparisons. Yeah, they don't have any of that available. Do they have anything at the bottom? Yes, a couple of things. Alright. So, if I go to highlight this, I already own it, but it'll give me the option of comparing. You can see my original on the left and the one I'm looking at purchasing on the right. Straightforward stuff. Mining, additional cargo space, your fuel tanks. Yeah, none of this is available. Either this place doesn't have anything or it's been wiped out recently. That does happen. People moving in groups and buy stuff when they hear from friends. There's a lot of good stuff somewhere. This game does have supply and demand by large chunks. We're about ready to get to that. Shipyard. As you can see, they only have one kind of ship available, the default ship. I'm obviously not going to purchase this. Go ahead and exit out of there. You had the option of seeing where your other ships are located, much like EVE Online. I know a lot of people have asked about the comparisons. This game is not like EVE. EVE is like this game. The original Elite started the whole concept of floating around in space, doing whatever you want in the galaxy-sized sandbox. So, a lot of the stuff that the original game had, this game has. And EVE has copied a large portion of that for flight-type mechanics, things like that. How you go from point A to point B, supply and demand, all of that. Commodities Market. You'll see some of the supply and demand here. So, hydrogen fuel. They have a ton of that stuff here. They have a high supply. So, as you can see on the far left, under sell, that's why I would sell it for $101 here. They don't need this stuff. They're not going to buy it for a good ratio. I can buy it for 102. That's actually a good exchange rate. And then you see cargo, I have none in there. Demand, if they had a certain demand on this, how much it would be. As you can see down here, there's a demand for pesticides. They're looking for it. So, supply, right hand side, how many they actually have, how high of a supply it is, and then what the galactic average is. So, what other stations on average would pay for this. Some pay more, some pay less, just like this one. And then you have all your different kinds. As you can see from the supplies here, this is more of an agricultural type planet. They have leather, natural fabrics. They have a little bit of foods, beer, whatnot. You can tell the ones that people make the most money off of because they sell out so quickly. There's no fish. Fish is like the number one way to make money I found in the game so far. Fish sells ridiculous. I don't know why, but it does. Reasons. And if they have any for sale, this is basically map chunks. It gives you a little information about different sections of the map. That is all of the basics for in-station that I can show you. Little note up here, we got the comms. You can select within the comms. You gotta do snap to. There we are. So I can actually directly communicate with individual local people if I wanted to. And I can text chat, open voice commands. Be like, hey, how you doing? Talk to them, whatever, if they want to. Friend request, block player, report player, all that fun stuff. Information, you have little informational tidbits that pop up there. So, that's pretty much all I have to show you for this portion. I'm going to go ahead and launch. We'll do a quick snap to on this so you can see a little bit about this. On the left is your relative speed versus the location. So, your height and whatnot for landing, your orientation, all of that fun stuff. In the middle is a little picture of your ship showing what you're at. So as you can see, I move a little. You can see me moving in relation to the pad. My speed is on the right. There we are. And once I move far enough away, it disengages. So always look up. Always give a brief glance up. Oh, you can actually see somebody else parked directly above me. See that? It's another eagle. And just in front of me on the right a little bit, you can see a Sidewinder getting ready to try to land. Then over here on the right, you can see the debris of somebody that didn't quite make the landing properly. Or tried to land without permission. Or came in here with a bounty. Don't go to a main station if you have a bounty on your head. Go to some little offshoot place in the middle of nowhere. You're much safer doing that. Getting out and getting in is always a bit of a hassle. Always got to worry about people or bumping into the walls. Feedback landing gear.
Landing gear rejected.
There we are. I'm going to go ahead and hit the gas. It's a common courtesy. It's some sort of thing that everybody just kind of does now. You always hit boost to get away from the front door. So that way people can get in and out without you having any problems. Alright, so feedback full stop. There we are. I'll go ahead and just come to a full stop out here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go back just a little, because I want to be in the no fire zone while I'm doing this. I don't want somebody to decide that I'm worth taking a pot shot at for the fun of it. So you notice in the upper left on the comms here, it'll tell me when I get back into the no fire zone. There it is, no fire zone entered. I'll just park here off to the side of the station. Feedback full stop.
Full stop, Commander.
There we are. Alright, so I'll use a nice black background so it's easier to see things. Oh, what's this giant mess down here? On the left, we have that little planet. It's got the blue dot on it. You can see it rotating. This is my current objective type target. So if I've locked a station, or actually I believe this is actually showing me my last navigation target. So I was trying to go to a different location, so I'll do that real quick. Let's say I wanted to go to Azaleas. So I lock it as my location. I now pivot. So you see the dots fully blue. It's not hollow. Now it is. That means I'm facing away from it when it's hollow. When I'm facing towards it, it's not. So in order to actually aim, I have to get the blue dot inside the center. There we are. Now I'm pointed directly at my target. So whenever I decide to go, that's the direction I'm going. I'll go and aim down a little. There we are. So, a couple more things down here. On the far left, just to the right of the little planet, you can see that we have the heat gauge. I'm currently at 38%. If I do something to heat up, then you'll see it go up. Since I'm not moving and not actually using any of my systems, you'll actually see I'm cooling down slightly. It's because I'm slightly below what I need for the threshold for a lot of things. Cool little trick if you turn off a bunch of stuff in the game, which I'll go over here to the modules and do that. So thrusters, lasers, cargo hatch. I'll pretty much turn off everything. I'll leave life support on. So you see now my temperature's starting to drop pretty rapidly. Here in a few seconds, once it drops far enough, you'll actually see my canopy start to ice over. Nice little trick that they did with the game, because it starts to get cold in here. I'll go ahead and kill life support too. That might speed up a little faster. No, not fast enough. I try not to kill the shields, but sometimes you gotta if you want to prove your point. In the original beta and alpha stages, the can't be iced over a lot quicker. I'll go ahead and turn life support back on just because I can. There we are. Starting to get the frost effect. As it gets lower, it'll do it even more. Moving on though. So another port in the centerpiece here. You can't see it anymore because I turned off my sensors. But inside of here, you have different items in relation to your particular position. Yeah, it's constantly warning me my shields are off. I'll go ahead and turn everything else back on so the windows can defrost. And so you can also see what's going on around us. Alright, so back up. Windows are starting to thaw out. So, looking down here at this map, you see a whole bunch of different little icons. Let me go ahead and speed up my shield systems. There we are. So, as you can see, all these icons, you have different ups or downs. So, left or right, that's pretty straightforward orientation. The ones with the tall stems, for example, that yellow one with the little box on top of it that's kind of hopping around everywhere, that is significantly above me. As I pivot up and down, you can see, alright, now it's starting to get in front of me. I should be able to get a visual on it right about now. Yep, there we are. If I can get the snap to work. There we go. Okay. Oh, somebody picked a fight. Oh, there's a cop, and I don't know what he's shooting at, but he's not happy with it, whatever it is. So, apparently somebody with a bounty tried to land here. Again, if you have a bounty on your head, do not go to a main station. They will bust you up. Yeah, here's another person randomly wandering around. So you can kind of see the markers for that too.
Frame shift charge detected.
Yeah, and somebody's getting ready to leave. Probably the guy I was just targeting. So that's the basics of that. As you can see on the far right here, we have that one that's the white box that's below. That means it's underneath me. It's underneath the same plane that I am. So you can pivot, turn, whatever in order to get to it. To the right of that, you have your engine speed. Now, a key thing to note here, I don't have full power and engine. So when I hit, this is the maximum speed I can currently go. So the maximum speed I can go with my current power is 208, 9-ish. So if I put more power into my engine, it gives me more speed. If I put less power into my engine, it drops off my speed. If you take all your power and put it into other things, your speed drops off pretty sharply. You lose a nice little chunk of your capability. That, and you notice I'm a lot more sluggish with my turn. So if you look at that speed gauge, there's a couple of markers here. So the big one is showing you your current speed. Your right is your propensity for speed, how much speed you could have. So as I add more energy, you can see it dropping off and going up and down. Now, that blue section, you notice that the icon for my speed indicator turns blue. Inside of that blue section is your butter zone for turning. Look how quickly I turn now. Much faster. Versus if I go all the way up and get my speed up there, see that? Much slower, much more sluggish. So if you're engaged in any form of dogfighting or rapid maneuvering, you want to be here. If you need finer movement, either full throttle or minimum throttle below the blue zone, and you get that slower movement going on. If you're at full stop, you can tell you move a lot slower because you're basically just on basic thrust. So that's the basics for your interface and a large portion of what it does. I did promise the galaxy map. Let me go ahead and pull that up. It pulls up a separate screen. Be careful using the galaxy map. If you're in a bad place, don't pull it out. Being in a bad place and using your galaxy map is going to make you a target, because right now I don't know what's going on around me. I'm still in the no fire zone, roughly, so theoretically I shouldn't be attacked, but there's always that possibility. Don't just pull this out while you're wandering around in the middle of a hot zone. Find out where you want to go before you need to do it. So you can see here, it's the same kind of concept as the little display. It uses the stick lines to indicate height. So I'm currently here, the little "you're here" marker. You notice it's not highlighting when I go to it though. You have to go to the stick marker for it, so this circle. Now it's highlighting where I'm at. And I'm actually going to a place that, while it's far away, it's not far away on a horizon, it's far away on a vertical. It's almost straight up. So It gives you the information on the far left-hand side, tells you about the location, their alliance, what their technology is, if they're high-tech, if they're agricultural. They have a corporate government. They don't have a large population. The larger the population in this game, the higher the likelihood you are to get the best kind of technology. So you want those millions of people type planets, and you want them to have some sort of high-tech environment. See, I'm in an agricultural communist location now. They're not going to have the high-tech, as you saw. I think Ibudis is one of the better places. Yeah, see, 2.3 million, but it's still agricultural, so it's not as good. There's a couple more over here that are not too bad. Agricultural, maybe it was Ovid. No, it's not Ovid. I'd have to go back and look. I know there's one location in here that had several million people and was high-tech, and I was able to get some of the best gear in the game at that location. I'll have to go back through and see if I can relocate it again. Gear in here, it's a random drop. So just because I found it today doesn't mean it's going to be there tomorrow. And as you can see, you can zoom out, look at the different locations, go through the different areas. This map is enormous, and it's only growing. Every time they do another build, they grow the map a little larger. So they've already grown it to this point. This is what we currently have. All of these little junctions are different locations you could go to at any point in time right now. And there's a ton out here I can't even reach because I don't have a strong enough drive to hit some of these far end locations. But all of that is inside this section here. And then they're starting to build them out. Yeah, see, here a little marker over here. They're starting to build out here, but they haven't quite finished. You can see all the locations are out here as well. So that tiny little bubble is everything that's been running alpha and beta. All the way into here, where I'm at. So this little bubble is where they've been running all of their tests out of. So we zoom out farther. As you can see, it's our whole galaxy. It's the Milky Way. They have the spots out here, and you can see that they've charted some locations already, but there's no description on them yet. But their plan is to populate most of this. So it's going to be enormous for the amount of space for you to run into. As you can tell, that means you're going to need a lot of good navigational tools. One of the nice things about this game, they give you, if you look over on the left-hand side next to the info, there's navigation. I can do things like look at the routes, I can look at the fastest routes, the common ones, the economical ones. I usually leave this set on fastest, and then you can see it actually adjusts by how many tons you're carrying, how far you can go. So at full tonnage, I can only go 7.95 light years in a jump, versus I can go 8.33 with my current jump. You can also do searches for specific system names. It'll locate them for you. So you can kind of see sticks up there a little bit. I'll go ahead and type it in. Oops. If I can actually manage to type in properly. Argumentative. There we are. So if I hit enter, it's going to go find sticks. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to go over here and go crazy. Zoom in for no apparent reason. Here we are. So now, when I do my search, it does a snap to. There's sticks. Immediately tells you where it's at. Then you can go to your info and look up whatever you want to know about that particular location. Oh, matter of fact, there's the location I was looking for earlier. Sticks. Well then. Yeah, so, industrial, 18.5 million. They have a pretty good construction ratio. They're not high tech, but hey, you know what? There's still a decent amount of stuff there, probably. I'll have to pop back in there. I haven't been there in a bit. As you can tell, there's a lot of places to go. View, you have a couple of different options. You have the realistic, you have just the base map view. What this does is this actually shows you the different trade routes. So if I go back to the map view, you can actually have, there's more trade routes than what they have. I've only shown the ones I was using at the time. So if I turn all these on, these are literally all the different things that you could purchase and sell and it shows you what those routes do. So I'll zoom in a little, and I'll try to get one of these a little more isolated. Here we are. So between Yan Yan right here, and where is it going to? It's going to a location I can't quite make out. Yeah, this is one of the places I can't reach. Between Yan Yan and this other place, they have this purple that's leaving Yan Yan, so chemicals or engineered ceramics, one of the two. And then they have red coming back, which is minerals. So they need minerals to make either the chemicals or ceramics. So that's a trade route you could exploit and make money off of. As you can see, some of these locations have huge trade routes. There's all sorts of different options you could be going back and forth with. I don't usually leave it on this particular mode just because the mapping of it is a little bit hard to manage when you're trying to figure out what the heck you're doing next, where you're going. So I usually leave it in realistic. It's easier for me to plot out manual courses. You have your different options, grid, constellations, things like that. So if I zoomed out, I don't know if it's actually going to do it or not. This portion here was a little bugged there for a bit. A lot of people couldn't get to work right. I don't think constellations is working still. Yeah. Well, the theory is that you'd be able to be like, oh yeah, that's the constellation, whatever. Oh, there's Orion. But yeah, they haven't quite got that up. Region names, the grid. I like having the grid. It makes it easier for point of reference, especially if you're telling a friend, hey, I'm approximately negative 30 to 37. Then go find it and kind of look in that area. So that is navigation. So that is the basics of all the little items. We're at about 36 minutes already for the video, so I'm probably going to be cutting it off here shortly. Just a brief overview. Oh, one more thing I do want to cover real quick. Docking. So you have to dock with permission. This is key, and it's not very well explained. So I have now targeted the station. You don't have to do it that way, but you do have to go over here into contacts, find the station that you're trying to dock with, select it, and then request docking. You'll see in the middle, it tells me my request is granted, and I need to go to landing pad 27. I have 9 minutes and 50 some odd seconds to do so. If I do not dock within that time window, then I'm basically trespassing at that point, especially if you're already in the station. That's probably at least some of these people that you're seeing get blown up in the distance. They're doing that. They're not docking within their time window. They get in the station, putter around, do whatever, forget. They go get a sandwich or something, come back. Or they'll use like an automated docking system, and that'll get them stuck on a wall instead of actually getting them in the station. And they'll come back and their ship will be getting blown up by the station. Feedback full stop.
Full stop, Commander.
Feedback landing gear. There we go.
Landing gear deployed.
A lot of people don't like watching me dock because I do it at a quick clip. Feedback full stop.
Full stop, Commander.
That to do a lot of full stops. Oh, argumentative. Here we go. New controls. I like the adjustments I made, but I still keep trying to do left or right funny. And then I'll do things like point straight at it, go down. Once you hit one of the lines on the marker, there we are. I am now currently at that 2. Now I'm going to just shuffle to the right a little. And there we are. I'm within landing. Now I just need to get down. There we are. Connected.
Engines disengaged.
And that covers a large portion of the basics for system use in this game. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments. Shoot me a message either in-game or try to see if you can reach out to me via YouTube. If you like the video, go ahead and click that like button. Feel free to subscribe. I'm going to have plenty more Elite Dangerous videos coming up in the weeks to come as we get closer to the full release. Thanks again for watching.